All right, the first category we're looking at today is GT bosses. I cannot believe the day that GT bosses is actually an amazing category, and it's even crazier to say because we always memed about it for so long, especially when we were talking about AGL Omega Shenron, because he came out right relying on GT bosses, needing GT bosses, and he never got any help. The only help he ever even remotely had came before he came out with the STR Super 17, and even then that unit wasn't great. So AGL Omega was our last GT bosses unit until 2025 in July, which is when the Omega Shenron released the physical one. And not only that, with the release of physical Omega Shenron, they gave us plenty of help. They gave us SCR Nova, EZA Tech Sin, EZA to the LRN Shadow Dragons. You know, there's a lot of good help there. AGL Omega is good. Excuse me, Super EZA STR Omega is also really good. And not only that, they even released a Super Baby 2 like 2 months after the release of physical Omega. And to me, it just shows how quickly a category can turn around if they really wanted to. It still leaves a question of why GT bosses was so bad when a unit literally relied on GT bosses versus Omega Shenron, who's literally just an extreme class lead that helps GT bosses. So it's really interesting they gave us all these GT boss buffs when physical Omega comes out. And then when AGL Omega comes out, he literally had no help at all and was struggling to survive out there because he was dealing with some of the most garbage units you would ever seen. But now it's insane. We have the physical Omega, AGL Omega, which, you know, AGL Omega is still here or there, but, you know, STR Nova, the Shadow Dragons, Tech Sin, Baby. We also have the EZA Tech 17, which at the time of this video, we have not seen details. We don't know how good the unit's going to be, but I mean, just the fact that we're getting an EZA for that unit is another buff to GT bosses, and it's just insane how quickly this category has turned around and has found relevance. I mean, literally, we're like a Hyper Metal Rildo away from this probably being the highest this will ever be in a category for GT bosses, but it is a good time to be a GT bosses fan right now. Next, we have DB Saga, and this is another category that just generally does not get a ton of love, and that's just more so because they never release characters in this category. Now, some of those, you know, some of the craziest units that have released in this game do come from the Dragon Ball Saga category. You do have the LR Bulma, the Path to Power Kid Goku, even the Int Kid Goku was really good when he came out. So, you know, they're usually in this category, you will find some really good units. I mean, you got AGL Devilman, who can one-shot people. It's 1%, but, you know, it's still there. A bunch of free-to-play units, of course, and then World Tournament LRs also exist. But generally, the Dragon Ball Saga category has some pretty interesting units. But the reason why this unit has found a lot, or not this unit, this category has found a lot of relevance recently in comparison to the past is because we have not only had one major release, we didn't have two major releases. We've had 3 major releases for this category. Well, I wouldn't say major releases, I guess, but we do have 2 Dokkan Fest and an LR that are all Dragon Ball Saga. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure I don't think the LR Chi-Chi is going to be on this category. I don't think so, but if she is, you know, that's another unit added to the Dragon Ball Saga category, and just more help on the way for a very niche category. Now, again, I'm not 100% certain if we're going to see the LR Chi-Chi, because it's not Kid Chi-Chi, it's the like teenage Chi-Chi, so probably not. But still, we've had the LR STRTN, we've had the Fizz Mercenary Tao, who is very excellent, and you could argue is a top 5 TUR. In my opinion, it's fairly easily he's a top 5 TUR. And then you have AGL Kid Goku, who is hanging around in the top 10 still. EZA to the Path of Power Kid Goku, who is an excellent unit right now, who helps Tao a ton. You have the STRTN, who is a very excellent unit, and with his key blast counters, makes him very prevalent in certain content, like the Rose Masu fight. And then, of course, you do have DKP, who's, I wouldn't say the strongest right now. He's not bad for sure, but he definitely does need an EZA shorter, you know, sooner than later, because this category is not going to be relevant for forever. And I do think that DKP deserves to have a spotlight because he's good, but nothing crazy in my opinion right now. And you know, we just have a lot of things going right for the Dragon Ball Saga category right now. Tons of support, amazing units, and again, you don't have to run a full Dragon Ball Saga team, but you definitely can, especially in 10th anniversary content. And it's a fun team to run just overall, just seeing the crazy numbers you get, the support, all of that stuff. It's a really good team right now, which is something we never thought we would say in the 10 years of this game. Next, we have Corroded Body and Mind. And I know you guys are gonna be saying like, well, that category is really not that good right now. Are we really gonna put this on this list? Now, I do think that it does need more help, and I do think more help is on the way sooner than later. We do have an Int Majin Vegeta EZA coming up. We do have the EZA for the AGL Majin Vegeta. Super EZA for him that should be coming soon. You know, and we're talking about possibly EZAs for whatchamacallit, the Fizz Metal Cooler. That's another unit that we could be talking about as a potential EZA for this category. And in my opinion, I think the Part 2 LR is also going to deal with the Corroded Body and Mind. Now, it's a lot of what ifs, right? And we're talking about right now, but I still think right now this category is the best condition it's ever been. We have EZA Tech Janemba, you have EZA LR Fizz Janemba, you have Super EZA Int Janemba, you have all of the clones, you have STR Rose, you have AGL Rose, and you have the new baby Vegeta. I do think that even though it does need a little more help, probably a unit or two, I do think it's in easily the best condition it's ever been. Maybe outside, of course, when Metal Cooler's team came out, I think it's a really good time for Corroded Body and Mind as well. But I do think as of right now, this is one of the best conditions it's ever been in. There's been a ton of units that come out, and I do think Part 2 is going to correlate with Corroded Body and Mind. I do think we may see a Majin Vegeta EZA at some point in this celebration, if not relatively soon, that allows this category to catch fire and be pretty prevalent towards the end of 2025. And I think it's just something to note, especially when we have the Global Dokkan Campaign LR being Rose, and then a Dokkan Fest about 2 months later being Corroded Body and Mind, and then you have all the clones. Super EZA Rose is, you know, I don't love the unit, but I do think is a very dominant unit, and just you have options for this team that makes it somewhat runnable right now. All right, next we have Universe 6, another category I just did not think we would ever see the day where it gained relevance. Now, I will say this category is not necessarily one that's never had love, because we've had it's basically been the Kale and Caulifla category for a very long time, because that's the only two units that ever have any relevance in this game inside of the Universe 6 Sans. Now, recently this category has gotten buffed, and I will say it is still somewhat the Kale and Caulifla category. Tech Kefla, LR Tag Kale and Caulifla, the World Tournament Kale and Caulifla, right? And those do exist, but Int Hit is a really good unit. You know, that's one you can talk about. Fizz Hit, I love that unit. Damage wise, probably not the craziest, but I do love his dodge counters. I think that's something we can talk about. You know, but it really is still essentially the Kale and Caulifla category, but now has Hit, you know. But I do think that it could use some more help. Of course, a Kaba, maybe a new Frost, a Bodamagetta. You know, some things we could see. I don't really know if we need to see a Bodamagetta Dokkan Fest, but maybe a Frost or a Kaba. Kaba definitely deserves a Dokkan Fest to help this category out. Even the Namekians would be a cool tag unit, or maybe just a duo unit in together. Maybe as that new Cybanner unit, or as like a LR, like a Yellow Coin LR or something like that. I don't really know if those two would actually get an LR. Probably not. But, you know, maybe as a weird Dokkan Fest or as a Cybanner unit, they deserve probably some kind of spot in that area. Regardless, this is the best we've seen Universe 6 in a while, just for everything lining up. Of course, the EZA Tech Kefla, the LR Tag Kale and Caulifla, Int Hit is a very good unit. The World Tournament Kale and Cauliflas are very good. You can use STR Kefla, you can use Fizz Hit. You know, there's a lot. There's Tech Caulifla, and then there's AGL Kale's EZA coming next year. These units may still have some relevance then. So, you know, there's a lot of things lining up for this category right now that allows it to be a pretty prominent category right now. I don't think it's the top 10 teams in the game at all, but I mean, if we're comparing this to other categories like Saiyan Saga, which, you know, you could technically compare any category to Saiyan Saga, but, you know, I'm just saying, for example, there are other categories out there that have had good, you know, moments at some point. And this team, I would say, has better moments than certain teams like Namek Saga, Cell Saga, you know, even Majin Buu Saga. You could argue this team being better. maybe. Nah, I would say this team's better than Majin Buu Saga currently, because I would say you would pretty much be only using Tech Vegito and Majin Buu Saga, so yeah, I would say so. So I do think that, Universe 6 is a very strong category right now. It's still not usable in certain content, of course, but it's the best condition it's ever been in. You want to talk about a category that had a mass revival this year? It is the Otherworld Warriors category. It is insane what the tag mechanic has done for this team. Now, I will say, I'm not a huge fan of tags. I don't like that they reduce quality on animations. I don't like how they're going back and redoing units we got like a year ago just for the sake of it being quote unquote new. But I will say that the tag mechanic does have its upsides. One, you get some cool things like Golden Frieza and Gogeta, and two, you do get a ton of category help. And I think it's exactly what this game needed, was just units that have every category. It just helps out a ton. And Otherworld Warriors is an example of this. Beforehand, some of the strongest units on this category they're just so far apart from each other. I think the closest Otherworld Warriors ever got to being relevant is when the third years came out, and you could use I wouldn't even do that, but in Gogeta, the Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? Like, that's probably the closest this team has ever come to even being relevant, and even then I wouldn't call that relevant. But ever since 2024, right, you have the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the Tech Gogeta, the Tech Grandpa Gohan, the EZA to the Int Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then the Fizz Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta EZA with the unit Super Tech. But since then, we've had four major releases and 2 EZAs that help this category a ton. You have the Tech Super Vegito LR, you have the AGL Super Gogeta LR, you have the Int Go Frieza, a Fizz Pycon LR, and then you have SCR Gogeta's Super EZA. Now, this category wouldn't even be in conversation of being good if Tech Vegito and AGL Gogeta weren't even on here. Go Frieza is kind of indifferent, but the fact that this team has access to LR Tech Super Vegito and AGL Super Gogeta allows this team to shine just a bit more. The Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku is still relevant. You could run Tech Gogeta, and then you could run Pycon in dodge, and fights that allow dodge, which allows this team to have some play in this current meta. Maybe not the global Dokkan campaign meta, but if you went to run this in, for example, like 10th Annie meta, or like some of the red zone fights or whatever, fights that don't last like 2 seconds, you'd be shocked at how much this team can do for being a quote-unquote Otherworld Warriors team. It is pretty impressive how far this category has come, to basically being one of the most irrelevant categories in the game to having some of the strongest units currently in the game on their team. Finally, we have Gifted Warriors, and wow, this category has had tons of life recently. This is a category that's really just like Vegeta, Frieza, Boo, Gotenks category, which a lot of them don't have chemistry. They don't really work together. It just causes awkward rotations. It's not like it's never had good units. It's just they never really worked with each other, and it's just I don't know. Like, it's just a team that was never coherent until this year. We have almost a page and a half of releases this year dedicated to Gifted Warriors, and that's mostly because of tag units. We've had the LR Tech Super Vegito, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, the SCR1, AGL Super Gogeta, Int Go Frieza, the EZA AGL Full Power Frieza, EZA Tech Grade 8 Vegeta, Fizz Daima Vegeta, the Super EZA Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Int GT Vegeta, DKP, the free-to-play Trunks and Goten, World Tournament Gotenks. Then you have the Tag Blues, the Tag Rose and Zamasu. You have the Int Super Saiyan Gohan and Goten and Trunks. You have Super EZA Goten and Trunks. You have the World Tournament Caulifla. You have Tag Golden Frieza and DBS Gogeta. You have the side banner unit as well. You also have LR EZA AGL Golden Frieza. Oh, and don't forget Tech DBS Broly is on this team as well. A majority of the major releases that have came out this year are on Gifted gifted warriors. I can only imagine, for example, let's just say for the 11th anniversary, we get a Super Saiyan 3 adult Daima Vegeta that leads gifted warriors in Battle of Fate and Dragon Ball Seekers or something like that. But really, the gifted warriors is going to have the 10th anniversary LR headliners. You're going to have the part 1 global Dokkan campaign LRs on your category. You can have the EX part global Dokkan campaign LR on there, the TDC LR part 1 on there, and TDC part 2 LR on there. A majority of the major releases this year are on gifted warriors. That allows, if really Super Saiyan 3 Daima adult Vegeta leads that team, he will have an abundant amount of options to pair with people on his team. I mean, the mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta already has gifted warriors as his lead, so I wouldn't be surprised if the adult one has it as well. But I mean, his team is pretty good as well, because it's gifted warriors and Power Beyond Super Saiyan for the extra 50%. And again, the Power Beyond Super Saiyan, you get the blues on there, and then you get some other units on there as well. But I mean, gifted warriors is a crazy category that has come a long way since it's been before. You have a ton of some of the strongest units in this game on this category right now, which has really never been the case. I mean, there has been anniversary units on here, like, don't get me wrong, but like the amount of main celebration units and EZAs on this category right now is pretty crazy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys think I missed any categories that should have been on this list? Of course, just let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, click the first link in the description. It'll be all of my Dokkan Battle voiced content. The second one's going to be to all of my Dokkan Battle videos in general, including those that are not voiced. If you guys enjoy G Fuel products and looking for a discount, in the link there is the new G Fuel 2.0 formula. So if you guys have had G Fuel before and you said I don't really like it, they have a new flavor, and they've been doing a revival on their flavors, enhancing the flavor of them all. So feel free to go to G Fuel and check out some of their 2.0 flavors, and make sure to use code LR24 at checkout in order for you to be able to get 20% off your G Fuel order. And it helps out the channel and it helps support it a bunch as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.